upcoming summer for the USMNT pool. Dun dun dun. And
Why do
finally,
you sound like you're reading an ad right now?
a few quick thoughts on the Gold Cup and this wonderfully abysmal roster that we put together.
How do you feel about that as an intro, Luke?
Let's run with it if you want to. Sure.
You're okay with it being a monotone monologue from Lucas?
I mean, I was reading it in my best advertising voice as possible, so.
We need to put some work into that, but we can do that.
Good thing
we
that's not my
put some
job.
time in. We can put some time in.
Okay, well, welcome
Here we
to the
are.
pod.
Here we are.
I knew you were going to do that to me. You always do that shit, man.
Does it make you mad? Does it make you mad? Make you a little frustrated?
No, it's expected at this point.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we just had today's a really good day to be a USMNT fan. I think the skies are the clearest they've been in a long time, minus a little bit of Greg Berhalter activity, but
yeah,
that's really
there's
not
a little
too
bit
bad.
of Greg action stirring up in the Gulf. We'll
There's
see
a little bit
which
of
way.
a triple G wind headed in, right?
We'll see if it breaks in the direction that clears, brings us some nice sunny skies, or is it about to get really dark and stormy?
Yeah, we'll figure that out as time goes on. But right now, last night we had the U.S. beat Canada 2-0 in a final that basically the U.S. controlled the whole time and looked like a team that honestly is coming together at a point in time that where we really need to be building. And this whole weekend, this whole last week and a half was a major step forward for the U.S. team.
It was. And retroactively looking back on the podcast we did before we played Mexico, if you would have told us at that point, we would have gotten, 2 Pulisic goals, 2 Reina assists, Balogun getting a goal during his debut kind of tournament, and just all of these amazing performances and players sometimes in not familiar positions or playing with pairings that they haven't played with in the past. It could not have gone much better than what it did, frankly.
I could not agree more. We really to see the first game and the absolute dominance of Christian Pulisic and him just being the best version of himself, and then Gio Reyna bossing this whole last game. It was something that just made me feel so good, Luke. It was awesome to see as somebody that loves this team,
No, I second that. I really think that we went out there and we were direct who we needed to be, set up in a very strategic manner, and put in amazing performances top to bottom. There were moments that, some causes for concern, but honestly, watching both these matches from beginning to end, it didn't feel like there were any moments where we were ever in truly a difficult or even like making me feel nervous in any position.
Yeah, I mean, it was really complete control besides maybe there were a couple moments in the second half of the Canada game where I think they had more possession and we were kind of more defending. But, I mean, even still with them putting on all the pressure, I really don't ever feel like we were pushed the way we have been in the past, which is one of the biggest complaints I think we've always had about these U.S. teams the last 3 years or so is that they've always been like a one-half team where they've played really good in the first half and there's been a drop-off. And then these last 2 games, they were full performances for like both 90 minutes of these games.
Yeah, exactly.
So exciting to see.
It was a cohesive performance that
a mature performance.
It was, and this is the youngest squad we've had start in our entire program's history in a final. I mean, the average age was somewhere around 23 years old, and we have Musa, Reina, and who was the other? And Balogun. All 3 of them are 20 years old.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't
it? Key contributing factors to the success of these past 2 matches. So, if you look at
We're
our
blown
team,
away. We're blown away here at Top Ends of Twins. We really are.
I don't know, man. It was just such a great experience. These players hopefully can go get some rest that they need, that they seriously much need. The European schedule has just worn a lot of them down. But man, I could not be happier with how it went.
Yeah, let's pause right here. I think that's a good little overview of everything that's happened at Nations League, but we'll kind of come back with some thoughts about who were the main standouts, who were people that solidified a spot, maybe lost a spot. We got some thoughts to roll out there. So
Yeah, we do. So come on back with
Check
us.
back in a minute.
Well, welcome back to Top Bins with Twins here. This is Luke, and Paul is right across the room from me, as we reiterated last pod.
Yeah, we're not even going to dive into this.
We're not. But, okay, we are back with you all talking about some of the standout performances and how those performances might impact the USMNT squad going forward. So, Paul, I'm just going to dive into my first one that I'm sure all of you out there will be shocked to hear this.
I think I know.
Giovanni Reyna put in an amazing performance.
2 assists.
And it's shocking. You put him in his probably naturally best position, and he thrives. It's really weird that happens. You know, I could not have predicted this occurring. But whenever you look at Reyna's performance, I feel like he was asked to do something he has not been asked to do before with the USMNT. He was playing a midfield position with not only attacking responsibilities, but also defensive responsibilities as well. And against Mexico and especially against Canada, I feel like you could see that willingness that he had to, you know, make the runs forward, stretch the defense, you know, look for those incisive balls through, but then also drop back. And, you know, he's not going to be Ruud Hullet. You know, he's not going to be locking down the midfield by himself as a single pivot. That's not going to happen. Mm-hmm. But what we do want to see is that effort and that willingness to do it. And that was so clearly there. And I really think after the way this has gone, he is back set as a mainstay in the squad. Should we just go there now? Talk about
just
how we see that.
Yeah, dude. I go ahead.
So I personally think after seeing Reyna play in what is probably his best natural position, I think there is a very strong argument to be made right now that he is locked into the U.S. starting 11 in that position in the midfield. Mm-hmm. So what does that mean? That means that amongst the four who are competing for those midfield spots, so McKinney, Musa, Reyna, and then Tyler Adams, who is currently hurt, amongst those four who are the, you know, seen as the top tier members of the squad that are competing for those positions, it seems like Reyna has a locked in a position, in my opinion.
When healthy.
When he's healthy, when he's fully fit, you know, obviously a caveat on that is necessary. But I feel like he has locked that position down. And in my eyes, I see it as we have, out of those four I just mentioned, with Reyna being locked in, we have three people competing for two positions.
Yeah,
right?
So the math does not work
McKinney,
out.
Musa, and Adams. I think amongst those three, we'll most likely see. Honestly, though, I don't know if I'm even right in saying this. I feel like when Greg comes in, it'll be very likely we see the MMA midfield. And I think a lot of people are going to be very disappointed with that. But in my eyes, I think that our midfield three should most likely be, and obviously this is going to be dependent upon matchups and exactly what formation we want to play. I think our best midfield three are McKinney, Adams, and Reyna right now.
I would agree with you, Luke.
Yeah.
As much as it sucks, I mean, Musa was actually really good these last two games, especially in this last one. He did a lot of things I think that are kind of against his profile and stuff he's not typically as used to playing as deep, and he had to concede a lot of the stuff that he does well. But playing in that role that he was, I think he performed extremely well. He did great. But like you said, it's simple math, and somebody's going to be left out of this situation. And to me, I think a lot of it is situational. A lot of it depends on the team we're playing. Like if we're playing a team that's going to be open and they're going to give us chances to attack, that's probably Gio Reyna in that cam position that he was playing.
Right.
And also, I'm there with you though. He's just too good to leave on the bench.
He has
he just offers a profile that we really don't have in this team that this team needs, especially now that we see the connection between him and Flo. And I mean, that's after 2 games playing together. Like, imagine how that partnership is going to grow.
Yeah, those two are going to complement each other really well. I mean, Flo's ability to his build up play. He for a smaller guy, relatively speaking, he he's amazing at holding the ball up, playing it around the corner to other teammates.
Mm-hmm.
Playing it back,
And his
making those runs in
work
behind.
rate too, man.
Yeah, I love that fit for those two. I think, like you're saying, they're gonna thrive together as long as they're both able to be on the pitch. Something else that I was thinking about whenever we were just talking about this, right? We're talking about this debate amongst the midfielders, who's going to be starting, and that's assuming everyone's healthy. I
Yeah,
worry
that's a perfect world
that
scenario.
we may never be in that position where all four of them are competing for three spots. Like, I'm worried that one of them's going to be hurt every time we're getting together, or two, and other people are going to have to step up. But that squad depth and building the players that can, plug and play like we saw against Canada, that is exactly what we need, and that's what we're seeing. At least that's what we saw these last two matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Luke, I actually had something that I wanted to share with you during the pod.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so I'm going to pull it up and have you look at it. This is a depth chart that I'm handing Luke right now. And basically, it's detailing every position, the top three people, top three players we have for every position. And looking at it, so it's tweeted out. What's the name on that account, Luke? I think it was USMNT.
It is from USMNT Corner, which
USMNT
is
Corner.
their tag is at USMNT Corner.
Yeah, they put out a little graphic where it's literally like if you look at every person on this list, it's like you could, not every person, but a majority of the people in this roster at their spot, you could find an argument for why they should be starting, and that's something that, like Luke was just saying, for the USMNT, when you play club football year round and then you go to play for your country, like there's going to be injuries. You can't expect to have everybody in every camp, and the depth that we're building with this team is gonna just pay off in the long run. And everybody and people step up too. Look at what happened today with you have McKinney and Desco out, and then Scally comes in and has a great performance against one of the best players in the world, and
Yeah,
Alfonso Davies, and he
there were
did a great job. I mean, it was a team effort. As if you watch the game, you could tell it wasn't Scally just isolating on Davies and shutting him down. Like it was a group effort.
it
But
wasn't the Kyrie moment saying he wants to ISO.
I got
on
Giannis.
Giannis.
I got Giannis.
That's great content.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think that Scally, for example, like he put in a great performance, and tactically we put him in a position to where he could succeed. Right, if we set up to where he's isolated against Fonzie in in space, he's going to struggle with that. As we saw, he was backpedaling the whole match.
Yeah.
But that's how you have to defend him with his pace. He has those moments where he just turns it up a notch, and against world class athletes, he makes them look like they're kindergartners that are chasing him around. It's impressive. He's such an amazing athlete, and his technical level is really high too. But yeah, I agree with all your points about our squad depth. Like, for example, look at Taylor Booth, someone who was not on the radar at this time last year. Even really, I mean, World Cup, there were kind of some nibbles here and there. He was a little bit on the rise, but honestly, he is going to keep pushing, and it's possible eventually he could be, very much so, either close to taking Weah's spot or overtaking Weah for that position.
See, it's going to take a lot of, and I agree with you. I think it's entirely possible, but I think Weah is another person that stood out to me in this camp that right wing is his spot to lose for the next up until 2026.
I agree. Yes. Okay. That's
and
the
that
point.
It's going to take a large move, is what I think you're saying.
That's
and
the
I
point
would
I was
agree
going to
with that.
make further down the line, is that I think Booth, say he makes a move to, top 5 league. And then from there, if he goes to even bigger club, he is in that position to overtake Weah by the 2026 World Cup.
Yeah.
Copa America.
And he could.
I don't see too much changing in our squad for Copa America. I think a lot of that's going to be developing chemistry with Balogun, all those things, right? I think there'll be a lot of building for Copa America. By the time the World Cup rolls around, we could see, 4, 5, 3, I don't know how many, but lots of different changes in our starting 11.
Yeah, no, it's entirely possible there could be a lot of change, but for now, another one that really sticks out, Luke, to me, that, I mean, obviously this is pretty clear, but Jedi Robinson, dude, he's just such a rock for this team on that left side, and his ability to stretch the field to interact with Pulisic on the left, like they've built a pretty good partnership. And yes, there's certain things he lacks, but defensively, man, he's a brick wall over there.
I I agree with everything you just said about Jedi. I think in the past, especially for his performances for the USMNT, you could feel a little bit of hesitancy, right? There was, he had that link up play with Pulisic and then the midfield as well, but defensively, he always felt like he wasn't quite sure if he's in the
Yeah,
right spot, if he should make a challenge. But I think after this year at Fulham, after, playing really well and being one of
for
Fulham's
sure,
more
for
reliable
sure.
players, I think that confidence has just gone to the next level. And you can see that, right? He feels like a no nonsense defender that, he's like, okay, go at me. Like, you're not going to get past me. I've gone up against the best and I stood up and, I put in really good performances. And I love to see that.
Yeah, I think we really saw it in the Mexico game, but Jedi and Death's ability to decide. I think they're getting really good at deciding about when to go forward, when to stay back. Like I think what they've really developed the last couple of years is a radar for how to react for what the game needs. And that's something that's critical for your fullbacks because I mean if you have somebody just sprinting forward when they shouldn't or they can't make the right like I think they're just getting cohesively this team is getting better at reading each other and understanding where they should be at the right moments. And I think that really speaks to the bond that these players have. And it's a team that we've talked about this, but I love to root for these guys because they all seem to just like root for each other and be each other's biggest fans. And
Yeah,
that's something like
right.
how could you not
Mm-hmm.
be supportive of that? And like obviously, I mean, it's CONCACAF, so I mean, there was a lot of shit that went on the last, especially in the Mexico game. And there was also a moment in the Canada game where I think it was Aronson when he was subbing out. Buchanan came up and like shoved him, and then Pulisic ran over and he was like, "Yeah, we're not doing that shit, man," and just got in his face and told him basically to fuck off and get out of there. Like that's just something that like we love to see as fans because we want to ride for our baby Eagles, and they give us they really in these two games they gave us so many examples of just supporting each other and caring about each other as a team. It was fucking awesome, dude.
I agree, and that's really what you have to see from Christian Pulisic to know that you're going to get the best version of him. You have to
Mm-hmm.
see that player who's engaged, active,
Angry.
lively on the ball. Like, think about all the times at Chelsea, whenever he'd be there, where he'd get clattered for the 10th or 11th time in a match, and no one's there to fight for him. No one's there to pick him up. He needs a team that has his back, and he will in turn have theirs. So that's something I think that we're both looking for in his next move,
Mm-hmm.
that he finds a club that he can call home
Yeah,
and really
that's
just
the word right there, dude. Home.
get out of this just perpetual cycle of not being able to be the best version of himself at Chelsea. So
Yeah.
something to look out for. But I think going back to Jedi Robinson, you know, I just pulled up some statistics from him from Football Brief, and he is amazing in two specific ways. Right, when you compare him to other fullbacks over the last year, he is in the 87th percentile for progressive carries. Right, and that, as we've said, that's one of the best reasons why he's so good with Pulisic, because he can stretch high whenever he needs to, but he's
Mm-hmm.
amazing with the ball at his feet for a left back.
And he covers Pulisic very well because he's
He,
so adept defensively.
Yeah, and he has that pace, right? There are
Mm-hmm.
not very many people who are gonna fly by him. He's good intuitively, but also athletically. He has that pace to recover if he makes a mistake. And then the second category that he's really great at, and this builds on his intuitive thought process when he's defending, is his interceptions. He is in the 90th percentile when compared to other fullbacks in similar leagues, and that's incredible.
That's
Like
impressive.
that
That's
jumps
very
off the
impressive.
board.
Yeah.
It really makes you think, after seeing how solid he looked, that maybe Fulham is not where he's going to top out. I think we could see a big
Maybe.
move for him. There were rumors about City at some point, but I don't know. If you're
Who
a top
knows? Who
club in the
knows?
Prem, or maybe even, I don't know, say Italy, or one of these top tier clubs in any of the top five leagues, he's someone you probably have that you're looking at. If I had to wager.
So, Luke, let me throw a little hypothetical out there for you. Who is Newcastle starting left back right now?
That would be Dan Byrne, who is
Let
a center
me
back.
let me tell you who may be a better fit for them.
Okay, I think they'd have to tactically change how they play, though, right?
I mean, a little bit, but I mean, I think you're going to see Newcastle. I mean, not to turn this into a Premier League podcast, but you're going to see them adapt next season and the season after. And I think he's part of the progression, getting fullbacks besides Trippier on the right, somebody on the left that can also do a little bit of what he does.
Someone who I've seen linked to Newcastle as a left back was Tierney from Arsenal.
Okay,
And I
yeah,
think
Tierney's a lot better ball player,
that would be
but
very good. And they, as I
Jedi's
said,
probably a better defender than Tierney, straight
yeah,
up.
no, I agree. And the way he carries the ball too that would be a great fit.
It's an idea.
I like that shout. That's a good one.
Yeah, but also, is there anything else you want to add? Like anybody else you think that really just locked in the starting spot? I mean, we know Pulisic, we know Turner, we know probably Chris Richards whenever he's
I was
healthy.
about to say that's what I was saying. Is Chris Richards put in? The goal is great, but it was more so his defending prowess.
And the ability to play balls off his feet, man.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
so
Yeah.
talented that way.
And I don't think we need to dive into that too much because
Yeah.
it does feel like a lock if he's healthy and fit. So,
Yeah.
do you have any last points you want to make on this topic?
No, I think kind of touched on everything, but like you said earlier, we're gonna see. I think going into Copa America, we're not gonna see too many changes to the starting 11. But by 2026, I think we're going to see a lot of these fringe guys, like maybe Taylor Booth, maybe Pepe, maybe somebody from a U20 team, maybe Paxton Aronson. Just we're going to see a lot of fringe people that are going to start pushing for spots, and it's going to be the competition's going to be fun to watch. And at the end of the day, we're just going to grow from it and be a better version of ourselves. So I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been such a refreshing time to be a USMNT fan.
Yeah, after
We
this earlier this summer.
Yeah, it was just I feel like post World Cup we were kind of, stuck in the mud. It felt like
We were in
everything
the
was very
wilderness.
stagnant, but there wasn't a lot of time the team had together. So there wasn't really an opportunity to progress from that. And seeing them take that step past this and put that World Cup in the past, move on together, and we have a good system in place, right? With Greg coming back, at least there is some familiarity there, right? Our players know what he expects, and hopefully he can adapt his sense of judgment a little bit. Keep BJ Callahan on the staff and let him make all the tactical decisions and pick the starting 11. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, but
Yeah.
it is. Hopefully, we can see growth from Greg as well. I hope that he learned some stuff while he was away.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's wrap on this and be right back for one little last segment, okay?
All right, sounds great.
All right, Luke, we're back on the pod.
Oh, that's what we're doing?
Yeah, but listen, the lights cut low, and Troy Bolton looks up in the crowd. And who does he see?
You tell me.
Gabriella. And you ask, why am I mentioning High School Musical?
I don't know. Tell me. I'm not sure.
Because honestly, we'll post it on our socials. But there was a awesome video of the USMNT Weston McKinney leading them singing what is it? Breaking free, dude. It was on its peak U.S. team. Like they just won this really big tournament, had a great performance, and they're singing High School Musical. I mean, what the hell, man? That was awesome.
I just have to wonder anyone from Europe or South America
Oh,
or anyone
they think they're
that
batshit
watch this
crazy.
and think, what the hell is going on here? But from us who grew up with High School
It was
Musical,
so cool.
it's just so fitting to see, players, enjoying the moment and deciding to play High School Musical
and being themselves, like they're just having a good time, and that's what this team's about.
It is. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. You love to see it, and just a fun group of guys, frankly.
Yeah. All right. So Luke, we're gonna do a little more information for everybody out there about kind of with the USMNT heading forward, what it's gonna look like the rest of the summer, heading into next year. And so we actually have Gold Cup coming up, and so it's going to be a smaller roster of more MLS players. We have Matt Turner, who's going to play, which I'm assuming he'll start. I mean, Selena is going to be on the roster too, so hopefully he can get some minutes.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That'd be really exciting to see our up and coming goalkeeper get some time in big games like that and just experience in general. And then, so the first game of that's going to be against Jamaica, and then the second game's to be TBD, and then Trinidad and Tobago on July 2nd. So we're going to see that. I mean, it's going to be basic. It's going to be a B team US tier team, but it's going to be there's chances for certain players to highlight themselves and stand out and maybe try to enter the periphery of the starting 11 for the US. So I have 3 players I think that with the right performances could do a lot of growth for their US stock going forward.
Let me guess. One of them is Aaron Long.
Ha!
How did I know?
No, look, I got to put options on that. We're shorting the shit out of the Aaron Long stock.
I don't know
Let me
if
tell you.
that's a sound investment. I feel like it might be heavily shorted already.
I mean, with Triple G back, we never know. Okay, so number 1, Milojevic.
Okay.
He just got a big move to a Dutch club. I think his season over there kind of was up and down a little bit, kind of rocky. But we want to see him in Gold Cup just have a good attacking position, have a good role to highlight the stuff that he could bring, because it's honestly kind of like I see him probably sliding into like the Geo type role, sliding in that and being a backup for that position. We actually really don't have one right now for Geo. Like if we want to play that 4-3-3 or whatever shape it is, where
or 4-2-3-1, whichever. Yeah.
however you want to phrase it, where we have basically a midfielder that's going forward more. I think after Gio, I'm not sure who else out there really fits that role. And Milojevic could be someone that fits in those shoes, you know?
Yeah. No, that's a good shout. I think his game is really interesting. You know, I would definitely need to do a deeper dive on everything the way he plays, frankly. But this will be a great chance. You know, the Gold Cup, as we're kind of highlighting here, is an opportunity for these players to show themselves. But also, it's a good opportunity for USMNT fans to get an in-depth look at these players who, you know, like we're trying to say, might be on the rise and competing for those starting 11 in our, you know, top tier A team.
Yeah, and it just gets back to the depth idea of we just want to build out the biggest squad possible that offers the most diversity to how we can match up with other teams. And so the next person I want to highlight is Brandon Vasquez. He has had a little bit, like last year was a great year in MLS for him, and he actually got involved with the U.S. picture, chose the U.S. over Mexico. I think he had a game where he scored 2 goals in a friendly. He's had good moments for the U.S.
Yeah, he has. Yeah.
But I think he's kind of had a rocky year, so a good performance in the Gold Cup would help balance him out this year, put him on the right path forward. I mean, right now the 9 pool is extremely crowded with Flo coming in,
which is kind of shocking. If you would have gone back a year and a half ago, just think about us now saying that the 9 position is crowded.
Yeah, it's really cool, honestly. Like, I mean, I personally am still a big believer in Josh Sargent, and I think he can really push both of the 9s that are quote unquote ahead of him right now, Pepe and Flo. Where it wouldn't surprise me, like if you see Sargent have a good year in the championship next year. Like he started out so good this year.
He did, right? And that's something that we want to see him continue into next year. You know, Norwich should be in a position where they're competing for, if nothing else, the playoff in the championship.
Yeah.
And he's going to be a key reason why they get to that place if they do.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, if you look at the World Cup, I mean, the first goal we scored against Wales, who took the ball down, who controlled it, who slid it to Pulisic, that was fully Sargent.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a severe drop-off whenever we played Iran because Sargent couldn't play.
Once again,
yeah, I mean,
selection by Triple G.
Yeah, I mean, there were other options out there for him to play, but I think Sargent, the whole thesis here is I think Sargent does stand a good chance in the next couple of years, and if Vasquez wants to enter himself seriously into the discussion, he's got a lot of work to do, and this is going to be a first step in that direction.
He does, and another reason why that is true is because his profile fits very similar to what Sargent does, Haji Wright, all those kind of bigger, bulky, not necessarily bulky, but bigger strikers that require the ball to
Mm-hmm.
be played into them. They require service. They don't have that, differentiating factor that
Yeah,
someone
they
like
don't have
Flo
the
does,
pace. Yeah.
right? Flo has that ability to play in behind, play direct to him, link up, build into the play. It seems like he can do a lot of different things and do them all really well. Obviously, he can grow his game, but someone like Vasquez is going to have to be very efficient in front of goal, and he's probably going to have to make a move to a bigger club at some point if he wants to be, vying for even just to be in the squad in the
Mm-hmm.
first place.
I think I saw maybe a couple weeks ago or maybe a month or so ago that Vasquez was rumored to a couple of Bundesliga clubs, which I think would be a great league for him to get a foothold in,
Yeah,
try that out.
yeah,
Honestly, he has to. I mean, it's one of those things too where like we always want to talk about a player kind of like quote unquote conquering their league and then moving on to a bigger league. But at this point, I mean, you kind of have to take a swing here because if you stay in MLS and just become complacent, I don't know how much that's going to do for you. You know.
mm-hmm. If he were to say go to the Bundesliga, I think if we see 15 plus goal contributions from him in the
Oh yeah,
in the German Bundesliga, he is in that discussion, right? It would be
absolutely.
very difficult to not give him the attention and not think about bringing him in. So I do like that. I hope he makes that move to the Bundesliga. I don't know what clubs he's rumored to be going to. I hear Bayern Munich's looking for a striker, so
Yeah, that's a hell of a shout there.
purely a joke there, but
That's a hell of a shout.
it would be good for him. I'd like to see him make that move to the German Bundesliga.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I have one more I'm going to throw at you, Luke. I think Zendejas is somebody we really want to see. He was on the Nations League roster and didn't get any minutes. And he brings a profile to the U.S. from a creativity and also ability to hit the ball and interplay with people that he stands out in the pool in certain regards, but I don't know if he brings necessarily enough. You know, like I think against a team playing in a low block, he's somebody you kind of want out there to help. Like imagine him and Gio. Like he's on the right wing, Gio's in the middle, interplay between them, quick balls, playing people through. With Flo, he would be a really good fit too. So I mean, like I think
Mm-hmm.
there's certain things he could offer, but like this is the same with the three players we've mentioned. They have to showcase their own unique skill set to the point to prove to Triple G that they need to be there and they offer something. So this is a chance for everybody. So we'll see what happens in Gold Cup. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Really.
It will be. Bringing up Triple G raises a point I wanted to hit while we are on here, and I found it really interesting that he's not going to be coaching the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Right, he's going to come back afterwards. Apparently, there's the language out there that he wants to spend this time studying and developing the program away from the team. And I think it's very strategic that he's not coming back for the Gold Cup with a lower tier team. If he were to go out there and the U.S. were to lose their first two matches,
Mm-hmm.
Twitter would explode, right? So I just don't think it's the, kind of negative stigma he's looking for.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I kind of like the idea of. I mean, listen, it is what it is now. He's going to be our coach heading into 2026. So why, if he's not already back, why trot him out for something happening here in a couple weeks when he doesn't really have time to prepare, time to be back? I mean, let him sit back a little bit, analyze, and prepare for other things. You know.
I disagree. I think he should be coaching this team for the main reason that there's a lot of growth that needs to happen for him as well. And
That's a
managing
valid
these
point. It's a
games
very valid point.
are good, or it's a really good way, regardless of result, for him to go out there and show, hey, I have grown in this way. And I mean, the Gold Cup is important, but it's not going to make or break our program. And we really wanted to
Mm-hmm.
win Nations League. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
him going out there, coaching, trying new things during the Gold Cup and really kind of prioritizing playing some of our younger up and coming players. That's something that I would have liked to see during the Gold Cup. BJ Callahan, I'm very excited he's getting another opportunity
Yeah, me too.
to show what he can do and really make an impact on the program in the short amount of time he's been there. Well, short amount of time he's been in charge there. I just would have preferred to see Greg jump right back in, put himself into the fire, and then get that first match, being our manager again out of the way. but it is what it is, you know.
It is
So
what it is at this point.
yeah,
You just kind of have to accept it. But also, to a little other thing to mention. So we also have a really big international friendly to look forward to in the first international break of the next club season. So on October 14th, the U.S. is going to play Germany in East Hartford, Connecticut. Man, I can't say that together. But anyways, they're going to play Germany in that, and that's going to be one of. I think that's going to be a high-profile match. This U.S. team, I think there's a lot of players from both teams that would know each other, so it'll be fun to see how our baby Eagles match up against Germany, who's honestly probably one of the better teams in the world right now.
I really am concerned though that we're going to be playing against Germany's B or C squad. I feel like that always happens when we play these big teams in international friendlies. They
Yeah.
just don't want to play their top players, and you know, for whatever reason, you know, they can do that. But I want to see Germany playing their nearly almost full starting 11.
We can hope
We
yeah,
we roll
exactly.
out our starting 11 and you know go at it for 90 minutes, right? You know, there's nothing really on the line there except for trying to grow and develop, and that's really kind of what I want to see.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I should have stated that clearly that we want to see a full strength baby Eagles going up against Germany because that's the only way we're going to get better. You know, like this is a top European opponent, and I would feel very let down, like Luke would, if it isn't a full fledged starting 11 for Germany because we're not going to get anything. Like you get so much more out of pushing yourselves and seeing how you match up against top tier talent than you do about playing someone. I'd rather lose 2-1 to a great German team than win 3-0 to a German team that's not full strength. Like I
or
want to learn about the
or
team.
even worse, going to Panama and being CONCACAF and end up losing 2-1 or
Yeah.
whatever maybe, right? And that's
Yeah.
just typical for how it feels like it goes in CONCACAF.
This is true.
I That did raise a question for me, Paul. So when we played Germany, and that was in, did you say October?
Yeah, it's October 14th.
Whenever we play them on October 14th, do we have another round of friendlies before that? I think we do, because I think there's a international window in September.
I don't see any. I am on the US website right now
Okay, well
and
maybe
there's
they just haven't
nothing.
scheduled anything because I think
Yeah.
there was supposed to be an international window in September and then I think another one in October. So I'd like to see something scheduled for them. But the point I was trying to make from all this is we have from this point up until our first friendly that matters to wait to see that starting 11 that
Yeah.
Greg is going to roll out. And I'm not going to lie, I'm nervous. I really, if Gio's fit and healthy, if Gio's not in that starting 11, I am going to be so concerned for Gio's future
Mhm.
with the USMNT and honestly our program losing perhaps one of our best prospects ever.
Yeah, it's going to be a truly monumentally dark day. And trust me, there's been a lot for us USMNT fans out there. If it ever gets to the extent where Gio Reyna decides to use a one-time switch to another country, which he has the ability to, it's going to be dark days for a long time because he's such a special young talent. And as we saw this last week and a half, he just offers so many things to this team. I would hope I would really hope, and I say this kind of from a scared perspective, that there's been conversations taking place where the federation was like, Greg, you have to make this okay with Gio because he is a main part of our future going forward. And if he alienates Gio, then there's going to be hell to pay from a lot of different angles because it would be a very dark day.
And on that bright note, I think we're going to call it quits for this pod.
Yeah, but besides the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes there, it's been a fun pod.
It has been, you know, there's a lot of positives here. I think that we're both very excited, you know, after these most two recent matches that the USMNT had. There's a lot of things to be excited about, look forward to for the future. So be sure to come back to Top Pins with Twins and we will cover everything that you need to know. And if we don't, let us know. We'll be happy to add it to the next pod.
Yeah, absolutely. Just reach out to us. We're here for any discourse, Premier League, USMNT. Listen. We talk about this stuff whenever we're not doing the podcast. We talk about this stuff when we're driving in the car. We talk about this stuff all the time. So Anybody who ever wants to hang out with us, grab a beer, or just do whatever, talk to us on Twitter, reach out. We're here for it, man. All
Yeah, we
day.
are. Thank you all for joining us on this USMNT version of Top Ends with Twins, and we look forward to having you join us next time.
Yeah. Go baby Eagles.